Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of a show yet to be named. I am going to work on it, but I wanted to get this one up a little bit early. I plan on releasing 2 a week, a little bit further apart, but I have some things I have to take care of for the rest of the week, family wise. Luckily, it's some good news in the family anyway. My little nephew is celebrating finally being cancer free. So I'm going to take care of that. But I did want to get this video out, especially because the feedback I received privately from the last one was outstanding. And a lot of people said that the way I articulated the circle around and the lockup is described in a way that they can fully grasp the meaning behind it and why it's so important. You know, we hear certain things are so important in a wrestling match, and we sometimes forget how important the things that we've probably done a million times are, you know, especially with training. These are two of the first things you might learn outside of bumps and chain wrestling. Well, lockup you have to learn before chain wrestling anyway. So these are some of the first things we learn, and we do it so often that sometimes we become complacent. It's just going through the motions in certain things. And that's nobody's fault. It's just something that becomes so natural. You kind of go on autopilot, and you're more concerned about the more extravagant things you're thinking about later in the match. But these things that I'm going to be going over in the first few videos, probably first many videos of this series, is going to talk about the finer details of the little things. And I want to recap last episode simply because there were some things I wanted you to watch. I wanted you to retain it. I wanted you to understand what I was saying. And then when you tune into this, you can kind of be ready to hear more about it. I don't want to throw too much at you at once. But what's important to know about the circling around and the lockup is the body language and facial expressions. Now that can tell the story you want to tell. It's often considered that wrestling is a solo sport, but it is not. It is not. It's a team effort. But that team is you, your opponent, the cameras, and the commentary team. So the easier you can make it for the commentary team to understand what you're saying, the easiest you can make it for the cameras to catch your body language and your facial expressions, and the easier it is for your opponent to feel the flow of what you're doing, the match is going to be remembered. So what I'm saying is, if I'm about to circle around and you see me stare dead into the eyes, the commentator can say, look at Elgin stare at his opponent. He's ready to put his opponent through punishment. Or I'm looking up and down. Is Michael Elgin looking for a weak point on his opponent? What's going to be his plan of attack? See, if I show it with my body language and my facial expressions, it's much, much, much easier for the commentary team to do that. Then if I'm not circling around too quick and I'm not doing all these twists and turns, the camera can catch all my body language and my facial expressions. Am I worried about my opponent? Am I confident? What is my mindset? And the more my body shows it with that circling around, the easier the story is going to be told for commentary. If the cameras catch that and I leave my spaces open so the camera can catch me, I know where the cameras are, the camera tells that story. So anybody watching, anybody listening can understand. If the cameras are catching me, then the audience is catching me. See how this all falls in line? Same with the lockup. If it's a nice intense lockup and there's a lot of struggle, the commentators can be there. Who's going to gain the advantage? Who's going to start this off with a hold? Are they going to start it off with a hold? What's going to happen in this? Is he backing him up? Look at the power of Michael Elgin. He's backing his opponent up. Oh, he pushed his opponent off. Look at that. See, we can tell that story. And if we tell the story properly, the commentaries tell the story properly, if the cameras catch it properly, everything falls into place. So we went over circling, we went over the lockup. Now I'm going to go over a sequence that I'm sure everybody that's watching this that has wrestled or trained understands, and we typically call it the universal or the international. Now this spot is from the lockup. One would grab the headlock, we would shoot that person off, we would take a shoulder tackle, they would hit the ropes, we would drop down, they would hit the ropes again, we would leapfrog, and then we'd catch them with a hip toss, and it's often finished with an arm drag. Now with that arm drag, we want to hold on to the hold. Why do we hold on to the hold? Well, this is the story we're supposed to tell. Now I'm sure everybody has heard multiple ways of doing this, and I have personally heard multiple ways of doing this, but to me, the easiest story to tell with this is the one I'm going to explain. But let's start with the headlock. For me, I do not like the heel grabbing the headlock first. Now, in this sequence, we most likely want to end up with the heel and the headlock, but I wouldn't suggest he grab it first. Now, there's other ways to do the spot, and we will cover that over and over again. There's a lot of, the family tree when we're in school, how you kind of write a name and then, so I like to do that with my wrestling. So every move can be like that. A headlock can be like that. Which are the ways out, which are the ways in, all these things, and so on and so forth. So personally, I don't like the heel grabbing the headlock first. But what if the story is the heel is much more experienced than the babyface? Then it's okay. See the catch-22? But how we proceed from that is most important. So what I would prefer to do is the babyface grab the headlock. Now, we shouldn't immediately back up. So maybe the heel tries to come up to a top wrist lock, but the babyface wrenches it. Now, he tries to pick them up for a belly to back, and the babyface wrenches it. He backs the babyface up, shoots him off, but he wrenches it, the old Bret Hart, and stops. Okay, so now that heel is going to work his way to the ropes. There's multiple ways we can cheat, we can give some shots, but this is in my head. We go to the ropes, and the heel grabs the ropes. Now, the position would be me on the ropes, opponent here. Referee comes in, break it up, and the babyface is following the rules. I let go of the ropes, and I grab the headlock. Now, we can play with this. I, again, don't like when the babyface goes immediately to shots to shoot them off. So maybe the babyface does the same thing, goes for the top wrist lock. If you have hair, obviously I don't, maybe the heel grabs the hair. Now, that's not a necessity. I'm just saying those are options, right? But anyway, we try to get out of the headlock. The last-ditch effort is the back into the ropes. Now, this is something I see, which again isn't ideal. But before we get to that, see what I just explained with the headlock, how many options we give to the commentary team. If they're really good and can understand the heel grabbing that rope and positioning where the ref comes in, and then as soon as the babyface creates separation, I get off the ropes and grab it. That's using the rules to my advantage, which is what a heel would do, because the babyface wants to keep the wrestling match in the confines of a wrestling match. That's why he will clean break when we get to the ropes. We're going to discuss the other way around later when we continue the spot. Trying to get out of the headlock, see the heel's trying to out-wrestle the babyface, but the babyface is a better wrestler. So this story can be explained by the commentary team. But when we shoot off, I prefer that we put our bodies in front of our opponent. So I know I'm not in a wrestling ring, but I am trying to articulate as good as I can so you can understand, because I think that's an art form in itself, is being able to explain things, not just show them. Now, obviously, I'm going to walk through some things, but I don't have the whole wrestling ring here to do it, because I want to make this more difficult for me to explain so that my mind works sharper, and hopefully that helps you understand, because I'm going into such great detail. So I like to put the body in front. Now, obviously, if your body's in front, you can move an object. We shouldn't be at the side, because pulling and pushing a human being is much more difficult. So if we push back, now what you're going to say is, but you're in the way. Yes. But as you push up, you open up to the side. Then we shuffle step once, shuffle step twice, and follow through, so that my right hand and my right foot are moving to push that opponent. One, power comes from the hip. So if I'm using that step forward and my hand pushing off, I'm also bringing myself to the center because of the open, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Now I'm just past center. So I can now sell my head, which is important. A lot of people just shoot people off and stand there. But the next positions we want to do, what's the point of just standing there? You got to act like a headlock hurts you. Now, if somebody squeezes your head, it's going to hurt. So think of it this way. If you hear a loud bang and you walk out of your bedroom and you have a child, or a child in the family is holding their head and crying, what happened? You know that they just hit their head. You didn't have to see it. Now, if you, as an adult, wakes up in the middle of the night, mostly men because we're dumb and don't turn on the lights, we keep the lights off, we stub our toe on something, the bed, the table, whatever, what do? We always reach for it. It doesn't do anything. But if we reach for where it hurts in pro wrestling, people start to understand. The commentary can understand. If I'm holding my head, look at Elgin holding his head, he must have really squeezed that headlock on him. And then bam, tackle, and I bump. Now, a lot of people will sell the head on a tackle. It's not necessarily wrong, but to me, We have to put emphasis on that wrestler was so powerful coming off those ropes that when their shoulder hit my shoulder, I went down. So when I bump, I might register my head, but I'm selling my shoulder because the impact here hurt and knocked me off. Now, I say that because any bump is a bump, right? I can take any move and sell my head or my back, but we do it. So a side slam, we sell our back. Neck breaker, we sell our neck. See, it's all the same bump, but we have to show what that move was supposed to hurt. So to me, taking that shoulder tackle, we sell the shoulder. Now, see where my body is? My body moves this way, which is the position of what? A drop down, whether they're going that way or this way. Now, this is where it gets really muddy for people. So we've got to this, we've told the good story, we've sold the head, we've tried to get out of the headlock, we've done all this stuff, we've shown who's the heel and who's the babyface, we've taken the tackle. Now, in the confines of pro wrestling, why would somebody who's standing above an opponent who's on the ground in pain, would I hit the ropes? What are the ropes meant to do in a pro wrestling ring? Well, they're meant to project us. So if I turn to hit those ropes, I am trying to get momentum to do what? Well, my opponent's down on the ground, so I'm trying to get momentum maybe to drop an elbow drop or to drop a leg drop. So I turn, I hit the ropes. That opponent, hopefully the babyface, now sees me running away, and they know what wrestling is. They know that the ropes are projecting me, so I'm trying to hit that rope to hit something. Their option is to either stand up, but they're dazed, their shoulder hurts, they hit their head, they've got the headlock, right? I'm selling my face from the headlock, I'm selling my shoulder from the bump, knocked me out for a loop. My only option is to get up, but then I risk getting hit. So I move close to them, which is a drop down. Now, if I'm turning into the ropes and I think my opponent is in the center, but he's now right in front of me, what's my option? To step over, a drop down. It's an evasion. It's not an offensive move. Now, you can use it to trip somebody. I've seen that debate. But what I'm saying is a drop down is not meant to be a trip. It can be used as a trip and will garner a reaction because it's not often used that way. What a drop down is an evasion. It's a defensive move. He goes over, hits the ropes. Now I get up and I don't have time to do anything because I was just down on the mat. Now he's coming off the ropes. In my head, he's coming with another shoulder tackle or coming with a clothesline or something of that sort. So I have to jump over him. Now he's not going to be able to hit me when I'm in the air, so he has to go underneath. Now, I've evaded one. I've evaded two. He starts getting frustrated. That's why I throw that hip toss in there, right? So that hip toss is thrown because I now have thrown my heel off his game plan. He's starting to get frustrated. He takes that. That's not a long, over-exaggerated sell. That's more of a register, more of a piss-off, right? Yes, it hurts, so you sell the back, but your face goes, oh, that son of a bitch. Also gives the commentary. Oh, he caught him off guard there. That really pissed him off. Then he charges, catches the arm drag, and this is where we finish the hold and hold on. Why do we hold on to the arm drag? Because we know we have just frustrated and taking this heel off his game plan. So now we're on our game plan. We slow it down. We prove that we're the better wrestler. We got the hold, and now we can work that hold. But my body language and my facial expressions are crucial through all this thing. But most importantly, the heels is. So if he's boastful and proud of that shoulder tackle and hits the ropes, and then when he sees that drop down, his eyes will open up, oh shit, and goes over. Then he's coming off the ropes like this, and he leapfrogs, fuck, goes underneath. I'm going to get you. And then we take the hip toss, and then we register, son of a bitch, I'm going to kill you. Come back, we get the arm drag, hold on, and I'm frustrated there. See how my body language and my facial expressions, just by doing this without a crowd, without an opponent, now it would be 10 times more if I was in the ring and in front of a crowd. But see how I can emote those emotions to you. So the camera can catch it, the commentary can see what's happening, they can explain the story that I'm explaining with my body, the crowd understands it, and then we're rocking and rolling. Now, think of that. When you hit the ropes after a tackle, in your mind, is it I'm going over a drop down? Or is it I'm going to hit him with an elbow drop? It's okay if at first time watching this, your first instinct after the tackle is to hit the ropes and go over a drop down. I understand, because that's how this spot is often taught. It's not often gone into depth of why we're doing it. But that's the point of these videos. So if my mindset now is I just tackled this baby face and his ass is on the mat, I'm going to hit the ropes and drop an elbow drop. If I don't get the drop that elbow drop, then my mind goes, shit, what do I got to do now? And then I'm running and I'm going to take his head off, but he jumps over me. God damn, that son of a bitch is good. And then I take that and I'm mad, get you. And boom, we got the arm. Now we're selling the arm. The baby face is up. We've got this part of the match, which is maybe a minute, 2 minutes, depending on how much time you take, how much emphasis you put on thing, what you do before that headlock, whatever story you want to tell. But see how if we use our body language, I'm just using my facial expressions. Now, if I'm up tall, I'm in a ring, not too tall. I know that's going to be the joke. I'm 5'9.5". I used to be like 5'10.5", but neck injuries. But you know what I mean? If I'm standing in the ring, my body's showing that. My body is showing confidence, right? If you're slumped over, you kind of see that. But if you're standing tall, chest out, your facial expression's angry, or it's pissed off, or it's surprised, whatever that feeling is that you can get your mind into when doing these spots tells the story so much greater than just tackle, drop down, leapfrog, hip toss, arm drag, hold on. See how quick it is to say that? And we've probably heard that a million times. We've probably been taught it that way. Okay, well, we tackle, we drop down, we leapfrog. But get in to the mindset of why I'm going to do what I'm going to do next. Why? What? If you know the why, you know the body language and the facial expressions that go with the what. And if you do the what followed by the why, everybody understands now. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that you will continue to watch these videos. Feel free to leave a comment or DM me. I am going to make an email for here so we can open up questions in the next couple weeks. But I wanted to get some info out there and get people used to the format we're going to use and used to what I'm going to be talking about before we have some questions to answer. And they will all be anonymous. I don't have to read the name unless you specifically ask me to. But if you want to send in a question or anything, leave the comment on the YouTube page, message me on Facebook, email me at elginbookings@gmail.com, and we will have a specific email set up for this, hopefully next week. So thank you for tuning in. I hope that these first 2 videos have been helpful to anybody that's an experienced wrestler, anybody that's a new wrestler, anybody that's in training, anybody that's going to join training, or anybody that just wants to have a greater knowledge of pro wrestling. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next week.